Hello everybody and welcome back to Insider's Guide. Today we're revisiting one of the older Insider's Guides I've made, episode 4 about Copper Mountain. It's been well over 2 years now and things have changed. Along with that, you guys have been requesting more of a guide to certain areas, so we'll cover all of that today. Obviously, if you haven't watched parts A and B, you need to watch those before this, as this video is solely filling in the gaps in those ones. So with that, let's begin part C of an Insider's Guide to Ski Resorts, Copper Mountain. To start off, let's jump up to Timberline. For the 24-25 season and onward, Timberline will now be a 6-pack with a higher capacity than the old quad. This should help the lift lines due to the ever-popular blues it serves. For further clarification, I'd like to add that Tempo and Little Burn are both mogul runs, and while Little Burn is very popular and narrow and thus often feels crowded, Tempo is a much better place for first learning to ski moguls. Down below the Timberline pod are a couple of relatively new trails, Timber Road, Lyman Lane, and Pinecone Alley. Timber Road is excruciatingly flat. Save yourself the pain and don't even consider taking it. Lyman Lane is another quiet, peaceful green. Pinecone Alley isn't steep at all, but it's a touch narrower, which is why it's a blue. Over in the Center Village area, if you want to avoid the icy funnel at the bottom of the American Eagle lift as mentioned in Part A, you can come down on the east side of the lift here on Lower Bouncer and then cut across last second to the other side of the lift, or just proceed all the way down. Do know, however, that if you proceed all the way down, you'll be stuck on the gondola side, and it will be extremely difficult to get over to the chairlift side of the lift. Sometimes I have found that the gondola lines are shorter than the chairlift lines, but I haven't gathered enough data to definitively say which line moves faster. Up above American Eagle, in the accelerator pod, I wrongly said that CDL's trail number 20 is a mogul run. A vast majority of the time it is groomed. I find Copperopolis to be a relatively standard blue, but it does get relatively icy due to it being used as a race course. Ptarmigan is the busiest run of the accelerator pod, and as such, it also gets relatively icy. Thus, the solution, if you're up for a trail only slightly steeper than Ptarmigan, is to take CDLs whenever transiting that pod. Down below in the American Eagle pod, do know that Bittersweet and Bouncer are sometimes left ungroomed for extended periods, so it is wise to check the grooming report for those runs before you go in unprepared. Foul play has sometimes been turned into a banked slalom similar to the Family Cross off of Upper High Point. Up at the top of American Eagle, the old tin can that was Solitude Station has recently been replaced with a much newer, nicer, and bigger restaurant called The Airy. In my limited experience with on-mountain dining this past season, I found The Airy to be the best spot, as it generally was much easier to find seating at than other spots around the mountain. In Part B, I said that the bus from the free parking lots drops off at Super B, making it busy, which is only a partial truth. You can take a free bus to any of the villages, but the East Village bus comes the most frequently and offers the quickest ride, which is why it is the most popular and why Super B gets busy. As of 2024, there is no longer a small parking lot at the base of the Alpine lift, as there is a new condominium development being built there. I would like to clarify that of all of the A and B lift blacks, there is no guarantee as to which will be groomed. I have been on days when Triple Treat was groomed and Overload was bumped out, so be sure to check the grooming report as grooming on the blacks in East Village rotates. Black Bear and Freefall Glades are fun to get away from people, but they often don't have great snow due to their low elevation. Up above here, Oh No and West Encore are two other blues that are often groomed, but not quite as often as the main blues in the B-pod. Slot Car Track is basically an escape route from Cabin Chute if you start down it and change your mind. It's a flat road, so I try to avoid it. Let's go into a little bit more detail about the Spaulding and Resolution Bowls. 00, 000, and Drain Pipe are all rated double black solely because of their slope. They are incredibly steep. No better way to put it. Further lookers left of those, you have all of these other double blacks in the Spaulding Bowl. Almost all of these have a decent cornice drop-in. Beyond that, however, they're not necessarily easy, but they're not the hardest at the resort. You'll see that cornices are a big theme with Copper's extreme terrain. These runs, including the name chute, such as Cornice Chute here, are exactly as their names imply. However, they are not incredibly narrow. You do need to be careful of rocks and whatnot in the chutes, but there is plenty of room to turn. Coming out of the chutes and cornices, you're then in the bowl proper, with plenty of space to play. You can traverse skiers left to get back towards Hodson's Cut. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in Spaulding Glades. These glades have a short section of steep, tight tree skiing, but it mellows out pretty quickly after that and is quite pleasant. You certainly can go all the way out to Marvin Garden and Park Place, but why? You get like 100 yards of bowl before you have to traverse all the way across or try your luck in the glades. If you plan to ski Spalding Bowl, just ski it proper down the middle would be my recommendation. All of the single blacks in the pod are extremely long, extremely grueling mogul runs. Back on the front side, off of Storm King, are some of the most overlooked runs at Copper. Upper and Lower Enchanted Forest offer some of the best tree skiing at the resort, with lots of fun natural obstacles hidden throughout. The single blacks below are short, sweet, steep, and lots of fun, with lots of natural obstacles as well. The only downside to these is that they are really difficult to lap, requiring American Eagle and Accelerator or Super Bee, and then Storm King. So really, these are once-a-day runs, but they often hold the best snow on the mountain due to their sun aspect. Union Meadows and the Single Blacks under Celebrity Ridge are another oft-forgotten area that offers great snow and lots of character. The most popular way to get to the back bowls, from what I understand, is to take Lily G. However, that run is so popular that it often has terrible snow. As such, if you want to avoid people and get to the backside on a less icy run, I would recommend taking the Rendezvous chair instead and going Rattler or Alicante. As mentioned in Part B, Rattler is groomed, but it gets extremely icy. As such, another even better option is, if it's open, to take the Celebrity Ridge platter and head from there. Okay, so now for what you guys have all been asking for. Let's discuss Copper Bowl and Tucker Mountain. I apologize for it having taken me so long to produce this, but here's what you all have been waiting for. Matchless through Alicante are all just general mogul runs. However, they face straight south, so the snow conditions are generally pretty rough as a whole. Up above, you've got Iron Mask, Schaefer's, and Bradley's Plunge. The biggest feature of these runs is their daunting cornice drop-ins. The higher you go, generally, the bigger the cornice. And of course, the later in the season, the bigger it is too. Once you get below that, it's very bowl-like and generally stays more untouched than other areas at the resort. There are some solid rock bands about a third of the way down that are easy to avoid as long as you keep your eye out for them. Of course, they also make for some pretty nice jumps as well if you feel like having a little free ski competition with your friends. Lalarukin is the highest out of all the runs on this side and offers untouched powder for days after a storm. It is a large bowl that you can drop in wherever you feel like, but the further you go, the more untouched it gets. There are several rocks and boulders here and there, but unlike the other three, there are no major cliff bands or anything that I have seen, hence why it is a double black and not marked as extreme. It is also a slight bit less steep than those other three. It only lasts so long before you get to the shallow runout, however, which is very unfortunate. To get to all three of those runs, you have to traverse a little and hike a little on what is known as West Ridge Traverse. To get all the way to the top of Lalarukin requires a little over 10 minutes of hiking, so it's really not that bad, but having that hike discourages a lot of people, which is why the snow is often so good on these runs. Additionally, with Three Bears, many people just take that up to get their extreme fix, so if you want a less crowded run with better snow, I would highly recommend skiing on this side. Now, over on Tucker Mountain, there isn't really a huge differentiation between a lot of the lines until you hit Treeline. Boulderado, Valentine's, and Denverite all start off in kind of the same area, a very windswept, exposed face with lots of rocks everywhere. This isn't a great area, and it discourages a lot of people from taking these runs. Once you get past that exposed upper face, on Boulderado you'll find a nice meadow-like area with sparse trees and prevalent rocks still. At the bottom, you have to traverse back across to get back to Three Bears. Valentine's and Denverite both become tree-cut mogul runs, but still have plenty of rocks to dodge as well. The Springs fits that bill as well, accessible from Denverite. Ram's Run starts by going right next to a small spine, which makes its upper snow much better. It stays pretty exposed the whole way down, and is basically just a super wide chute, with rocks defining it on either side. Buffalo Stampede cuts skiers left of Ram's Run just after you see the start of a spine on the skier's left. It is a true chute, with not nearly as much room to turn. It's a fun feature on the main face, but does get skied out pretty quickly. The Taco, the next line over, is a fun little gully. It seems to be the most popular of the runs on Tucker, but I can't say that definitively. It's not too crazy difficult, in all honesty, and aside from some rocks here and there, I suppose the only reason it's really considered an extreme is because it's super steep. It takes the shape of a chute, but I don't consider it a chute because, unlike in a true chute, there are no rocks on the side forcing you to stay in the chute, at least on the skier's left. Western Slope and Falcon Alley have some solid rock bands you have to avoid. Beyond those, however, which are located in the top third of the runs, it's just a wide open bowl with a brief dash through the trees to get to the runout. Summit's Dash is a super steep, super short, super icy groomer. But honestly, if you're going to Three Bears for a groomer, you need to reevaluate. Getting to Falcon Alley and Summit's Dash can take some sidestepping, but no true hiking. Those two drop you into a small meadow, which is nice, before going back onto the Colorado Boulevard runout. Colorado Boulevard itself is a road on the skier's left side of a small natural gully. You can dip to the skier's right to often find some hidden powder stashes, but beware that the area is relatively flat, so you'll want to avoid getting bogged down. Oh, and yeah, you won't have to worry about lift lines on the backside, which I feel like is pretty obvious. So there you have it. I hope this helped all of you and answered your questions about Tucker Mountain. However, if you have any other questions, please leave them down below. Go check out another episode of Insider's Guide, all about the great ski areas of the American West. As always, thank you all for watching. All my love, I'm out.